I'm Jesse Yost with CommScope Ruckus. Today we're going to discuss administration and event monitoring in Ruckus Cloud. We're going to take a look at the notifications that you can enable for the Ruckus Cloud, as well as ways to enable support to access your instance. We're then going to discuss setting up event logging levels so you can make sure that you're getting the proper logs for your devices. All of this is really helpful when troubleshooting devices managed within your cloud. Before we jump into the cloud instance, I do want to point out that there is a Ruckus Cloud status button that you can choose right off the login screen that gives you an update of the operational status by region for all of the Ruckus Cloud services. So currently we can see that all systems are operational, or we can jump into a particular region and look at each service individually and see that they are also all operational. But if you were experiencing an issue in your region for one or more services, this is the place to see if this is something that we're already working on and it's known, or if everything is working, it's going to indicate to you that you need to contact Ruckus support. Back again in my Ruckus Cloud instance. Today we're going to talk about administration and monitoring of Ruckus Cloud. We're going to start by taking a look at the administration section on the left-hand side of the menu here. So we're going to go ahead and select that. And the first tab we're going to talk about is the account details. So you can see the organization that the Ruckus Cloud account is linked to, as well as the address that's on file for this account. Underneath that, we've got multi-factor authentication. So this is disabled by default, but once enabled, you're going to basically have two-factor authentication where you need to provide the password and then either a code via SMS or email or even app-driven. So we do recommend that you turn this on just so you can have increased security to protect your account from unauthorized access, but this is an option that you have the ability to enable or disable. Recovery codes are used when multi-factor authentication is enabled. So if somebody's having trouble getting that SMS or that email message, they can use the recovery code in its place to gain access into the system. The next tab, Notifications, is a list of all of the administrators for this instance that are receiving maintenance notifications from our Ruckus Cloud team. So when there is an update scheduled, the notification will go out. I showed in a previous video what this looks like, but this is a list of all the folks that are going to receive that message. So there's a few ways that you can get it. You can get it through email or mobile phone, or you can do both. Make sure you set those up so your administrators are getting the proper notifications on system updates. The next tab here is the Support tab, and the first option underneath of it is the Recovery Network Passphrase. So if you have an AP that has become disconnected or is having a configuration issue, it may start broadcasting an SSID of Recover Me. So you can use the Recovery Network Passphrase to connect to that SSID and reconfigure the AP so that it can get managed again by the cloud. The next option underneath the Support tab is to allow access to the Ruckus support team to help out with the request, or if you've got a software or configuration problem, they can connect into your instance and be able to diagnose any kind of issue you're having. If you enable this, it will update and say that it's going to expire in 7 days. So when you enable this, that gives our support team 7 days unless you go ahead and turn it off. So you can enable this when you need Ruckus support to come in, and if they've closed your case, you can go ahead and turn this back off and it will disallow them from your instance. Moving along, the License tab is an overview of the license count for your environment or your cloud instance, and it is broken down by Wi-Fi and switch licenses. So I can see here that I've got a license for 40 APs. It is a basic license. The expiration date is in 2050, and I can see how many of those 40 I have allocated. So 3 of 40 is what I've got for Wi-Fi, and if I click on the switch tab, I can see similar information, the count of licenses available versus used. Now I will let you guys know that if you are adding serial numbers when you add devices, even if they have not contacted the cloud, they will take up a seat. So if you've got some devices out there that have never contacted the cloud and you're running short on licenses, you can remove those devices to free the license up. Obviously, if you have more APs than you have licenses, you'll need to increase those, but this is where you can check the status of the licenses. The final tab is the Cloud Version tab, which tells you the current version of the cloud instance, when it was updated, and it provides an overview of the new features in this release. To get more information about this release, let's say we needed to know which APs and switches were supported by the release, we can jump into the release notes. From within the release notes, we get a list of all of the Ruckus ICX switches, and we can see that there is a hyperlink in the release notes for the supported AP models. So if we click this, we're taken to a page that shows all of the supported indoor and outdoor access points for Ruckus Cloud in this release. Now switching topics over to event monitoring. So all of the events that occur within the Ruckus Cloud instance roll up to the events over on the left. Now you can look at events from a particular AP perspective or a switch perspective or even a user perspective, but this gives you the roll up of all of the events in the system. Now the first thing that I do want to point out is that your profile may have a different log level applied to it. So if you click on your profile on the top right and go to My Profile, you can see an event details level. Now my account has a little bit different permissions than maybe yours does, but it's worth checking out to make sure that you have the appropriate level of event logging enabled. So if you needed debugging, you can go ahead and here and set it, but maybe if you don't need that much, you can just bump that down to something like IT professional or basic user. But it's worth checking out and making sure you've got configured the way you're expecting. So if I look at my events list here, this does go back several months. So if I click on the date, it looks like we're going back to June 1st. So I've got several months worth of data in here to take a look at. But do know that you can also set up syslogging on your WLANs, syslogging on your switches to offload all of these logs into your own logging repository. We can also filter all of these events that are shown here. We can filter them by product, severity, or event type. If I just choose the critical severity here, we can see that I do have one critical event where a switch failed a firmware update, so it gives me the timestamp for that, as well as the specific switch that failed. Now it is worth mentioning that these critical severities are going to get an email notification and a text notification if they are configured as we showed earlier, the email address and the mobile address. If you're looking for additional notifications, you can use the Ruckus Cloud mobile app and enable push notifications to get those on your mobile app, as well as, the dashboard. So when you log in initially to the dashboard, you're going to see alarms here. Any incidents that came up in the last 24 hours will be listed here, and then an overall health status of all of your devices. So you'll be able to dig down if there's something going on that you need to know about. The events here are mostly also hyperlinked, so if you are looking at a specific event and you need to jump down into the particular source, you can certainly do that. So it looks like we had a client here on Wi-Fi that roamed to our R310, and if I want to get more details on that client, I can select it here and I will jump right into that particular device and can get more information, and then I can see the history overall for that specific device on this network. That's it for this one. We just wanted to give you guys a quick overview of the administration settings and the event capabilities in Ruckus Cloud. Hopefully you guys can use this stuff to set your log levels or set up additional administrators to receive alerts. We'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for watching.